A single number once settled the oldest question about money. $75,000. Earn that much, and you'd be as happy as money could make you. Past it, the experts said, more money bought nothing. The figure was everywhere. It was in the headlines. It was in the TED Talks. It was in the advice your uncle gave at dinner. It felt scientific, clean, almost comforting. There was just one problem. It was wrong. The number was born in 2010. It came out of Princeton from the offices of two giants, Daniel Kahneman, who had already won a Nobel Prize, and Angus Deaton, who would one day win one too. Together they asked a deceptively simple question: does more money actually make people happier? To answer it, they needed an enormous amount of data, so they turned to a daily poll of ordinary Americans. More than 450,000 of them. Every day, 1,000 new people asked about their lives. But Kahneman saw something most people miss. There are two different kinds of happiness. One is how you judge your life when you stop and think, the big picture score. Am I doing well? The other is how you actually feel, moment to moment, the quiet texture of an ordinary Tuesday. They measured both against income. The first kind, life satisfaction, kept climbing. The richer people were, the better they rated their lives. No ceiling, more money, a higher score, all the way up. But the second kind told a stranger story. Day-to-day mood rose with income too. Then, around $75,000, it seemed to flatten. Beyond that point, the extra money stopped lifting people's days. The conclusion was elegant. Money buys a better life, but not better days. The paper itself had a careful, cautious title. The world ignored the caveats and kept the number. $75,000 became the official price of happiness. For a decade, almost no one questioned it. Then, one young researcher did. His name was Matthew Killingsworth, a graduate student, not yet famous, not yet sure. Something about the number bothered him. The original study had asked people how they felt yesterday, a memory of a feeling, not the feeling itself. And it asked in blunt yes or no questions. Did you smile a lot yesterday? Yes or no? Killingsworth believed you could do far better, so he built something entirely new. An app called Track Your Happiness. It lived quietly on people's phones. At random moments, it would buzz. Right now, in this exact moment, how do you feel? A simple slider from very bad to very good. No memory, no yes or no, just the present. Tens of thousands of people signed up, 33,000 of them to be exact. And the app captured something staggering. More than 1.5 million real moments of life. People happy, bored, anxious, content, all caught as they happened. Then he lined every moment up against income, and the famous plateau simply vanished. Happiness kept rising past 75,000, past 100,000, and beyond. The same steady climb with no wall in sight. In 2021, he published the result. The title read almost like a dare. Experienced well-being rises with income, even above 75,000. Now science had a real problem. Two studies, the same question, opposite answers. One said happiness stops at 75,000. The other said it never stops at all. And one author of the first study was a living legend. Daniel Kahneman, the father of behavioral economics. Careers are built by challenging men like that. Most people would have braced for a bitter fight. Kahneman did something almost no scientist ever does. He reached out to the man who had contradicted him. Not to argue, but to collaborate. He called it an adversarial collaboration. Two opponents sitting on the same side of the table, digging through the very same data together. They brought in a third researcher, Barbara Mellers, as referee. Their goal was not for either side to win. It was to find out who was right and why. So they reopened the numbers, and slowly the real story emerged. The old study had not been exactly wrong. It had simply been measuring the wrong thing. Those yes or no questions had a hidden ceiling. They could tell misery apart from contentment, but they could not tell contentment apart from joy. Once you were doing fine, the questions maxed out. They measured the absence of pain, not the presence of happiness. And that pointed to a much deeper truth. People are not one single group, but two. There is an unhappy minority, roughly the least happy 1 in 5. For them, the plateau is completely real. More money lifts them up to about $100,000. After that, their suffering stops responding to money. Because their pain was never really about money. It was grief or loneliness or depression. A broken heart does not care what you earn. But for everyone else, the vast majority, there is no plateau. Their happiness keeps rising with every single raise. And for the happiest people of all, it actually accelerates. The more they had, the more each new dollar seemed to give. But why would money keep working at all? The secret is in how the math behaves. Happiness does not rise with dollars, but with multiples. Going from 30,000 to 60,000 feels enormous. Going from 60,000 to 120 feels the same. Each doubling of income buys the same step up. So the rich need far more just to feel the same lift. The returns shrink and shrink, but they never reach zero. And there is an older puzzle hiding beneath all of this. Economists call it the Easterlin Paradox. Rich people are happier than poor people in any country. Yet as whole nations grow richer, they don't feel happier. Part of the answer is comparison. We don't measure our wealth, we measure the gap to our neighbor. When everyone rises together, the gap simply stays the same. So some of money's magic is just pulling ahead of the pack. But not all of it, because money does something far quieter than status. It removes friction from ordinary life. The flat tire that becomes a full-blown crisis. The medical bill that quietly steals your sleep. The rent that arrives before the paycheck does. Money erases 1,000 small daily fears. And it turns out, how you spend it matters too. One study uncovered a surprising lever. People who spent money on others were happier than those who spent it on themselves. Money can buy you time, and it can buy you experiences. Sometimes it can simply buy a problem going away. So the famous limit was never really a wall. There was no magic number where happiness quietly stopped. There was only a flawed ruler, measuring the wrong feeling. The truth is gentler and far more useful. For most people, money really does buy happiness. Not all of it, and not the kind that matters most. It can't mend grief or buy back time or make you loved. But for the everyday weight that most of us carry, money lifts it, dollar after dollar, with no ceiling in sight. The $75,000 limit was wrong, and the truth had been hiding in plain sight all along. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button.